Okay, I'm going live now, Mayor.
Thank you. Okay, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the regular meeting of the City Council and Successor Agency to the Redevelopment Agency for Tuesday, September 1st, 2020. We now call the meeting to order. It's time in the program for our national anthem and Pledge of the Allegiance. If the council could please mute your microphones except for Council Member Chavez. And we are first going to have the national anthem sung by our own Jeanette Chevronet from our Costa Mesa Police Department.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave? Oh,
Councilmember Chavez.
Please repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Okay, at this time, we would like to invite Pastor Phil Eiskens from the Lighthouse Community Church, who will lead us in a moment of solemn expression. Pastor Eiskens, are you there?
Pastor, if you could please raise your hand. Here we go. Thank you. Okay, I'm allowing you to speak.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you, Pastor.
Mayor Foley, Lori Ann, Susan Price, esteemed City Council. I always count it a privilege and an honor to be as a member of the local clergy of this great city of Costa Mesa, to be able to participate and express something meaningful in this moment of solemn expression. I will never forget where I was on November 22nd, 1963. Where were you if you were as old as I am? I was sitting in my 9th grade algebra class when the announcement came over the school's public address system that an attempt on the life of President John F. Kennedy had taken place in Dallas, Texas. A short time later, we learned that he had not survived. At that very moment, the lives of millions and millions of people worldwide, including this 13-year-old at the time teenager, changed forever. Camelot had abruptly come to an end, and the frailty of humanity was instantly exposed. In a speech shortly before he was killed, John F. Kennedy stated what I believe is still very current and applicable for the hour in which we live today. Something prophetic, you might say. He said, "The question for our time is not whether all men are brothers. That question has been answered by God, who placed us on this earth together. The question is whether we have the strength and the will to make the brotherhood of man the guiding principle of our daily lives." I think we can all agree that we live in some very, very unprecedented time. and the fabric of our nation is being sorely stretched. I have often said to my congregation, I'm looking forward to the day when a smiling newscaster says maybe we should pray. So let's pray right now. Dear Heavenly Father, we come to you in the name of your Son. Father, we are so proud and glad to be part of the city of Costa Mesa. Father, we lift up the city council, but not only the city council, we lift up our police department, those brave men and women, Lord, that I have come to know some on a very personal level. And we pray for our first responders. We pray for the fire department, those nurses and workers, Lord, that risk their lives on a daily basis to protect our city and to keep it safe and healthy. So, Lord, tonight we just want to lift up this city and our nation and pray that you would soon bring to an end this virus and help us to learn to live together better and to love each other better. And Father, we do pray for our divided nation politically, that we might come together and be the brothers that God has placed on this earth together. And we pray these things in Jesus' name. And everybody said, amen. Thank you for inviting me, you guys. All right. You have a great evening.
Thank you, Pastor Phil, and thanks for all you do to help our community and serve the needs of our people who are most vulnerable in our city. Thank you so much. Okay. City Attorney, do we have I'm sorry, I forgot to call the roll. Ms. Green, will you please call the roll by voice vote?
Councilmember Chavez?
Here.
Councilmember Guinness?
Here.
Councilmember Mansour?
Here.
Councilmember Marr?
Here.
Councilmember Reynolds?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Stevens?
Here.
Mayor Foley?
Present.
Thank you.
Okay, City Attorney, it's your, we would like to get the closed session report from this closed session.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. There is no reportable action taken in closed session. There was some direction given.
Okay, thank you. So at this time, it's the time in the agenda for our proclamation and presentations. We have 3 presentations. First is a proclamation for Share Ourselves, celebrating 50 years. And I believe we have the proclamation to put up on the screen. Okay, that's going to be too small for me to read, so hold on. Well, I'm not going to be able to read it. I can't read that. It's too small. So, so I'm gonna ad lib it. So Share Ourselves is celebrating 50 years. This is an organization that started by Jean Forbath and a few members of their church. Okay, that's too close. And they started, right in the church. It was a small little organization. And 50 years later, they are still providing care and assistance to the most needy in our community. They are nationally recognized as a health center, and they're one of 265 centers to be named as a health care for homeless provider. Share Ourselves has so many services that they've provided in our local community. They're a great partner with us for our Costa Mesa Bridge Shelter. They're also just recently announced a mobile unit that they have now to be able to go out into neighborhoods to provide medical care and services right into vital communities. And so we are just thrilled to be able to partner always with Share Ourselves and the volunteers at Share Ourselves. And I, Katrina Foley, Mayor of the City of Costa Mesa, on behalf of all the citizens of Costa Mesa, and do hereby proclaim October 1st as Share Ourselves Day. and welcome individuals to help them to celebrate and appreciate the 50 years that they've been providing great service in our community. So thank you all. Okay, you can take that slide down and we will go back to the agenda. And at this time, Mr. Ruiz and Mr. Locke are going to provide us with a census update. And I hear it's really good news.
Yes, hello, good evening, Madam Mayor and members of the City Council. I'm honored to be here this evening to provide a brief update on 2020 census actions pursued in order to increase the overall response rate in the city. To begin, I will provide a summary of actions taken since I last updated the council in March, compare the city's response rates from spring to now, and detail outreach activities in the coming weeks. When we last met regarding the census at the March 17 council meeting, I provided a presentation on a detailed strategic plan. However, with the onset of COVID-19 and the adoption of a statewide stay-at-home order, many activities were placed on hold, especially those that required prolonged face-to-face interactions indoors. This caused census operations to shift by 2 months, moving from a July 31st deadline to a September 30th deadline. With that, our team and the county and its partners shifted to a largely digital and contactless approach to conducting outreach. In the first months of the lockdown, a wealth of digital marketing resources were produced by the Census Bureau, the state and county complete count committees, and nonprofit partners, of which we adapted and included throughout the city's social media and the weekly City Hall snapshots. While the original strategic plan called for social media and snapshot postings every other week, our post frequency shifted to an average of at least 1 post a week, with additional posts when important census-related events occurred. As an example, the photo to the right is of our census car caravan, which was posted across Facebook and Instagram and garnered upwards of 8,300 views across 2 days in August. Furthermore, we developed a total of 14 snapshot segments across 4 months, with their frequency increasing in the last 2 months from bi-weekly to weekly posts. Further, with the popularization of the teleconferencing software Zoom, our committee hosted a virtual census town hall on the city's Facebook page and included census material in subsequent town halls. Other digital avenues of outreach included the creation and promotion of a census webpage that is accessible through our home page on the city website. Not to mention the creation of a census-themed minute, the Spanish El Minuto, and 2 public service announcements in English and Spanish. The PSAs alone have garnered upwards of 6,600 views when they were originally posted. For the month of May, we coordinated with the OC Fairgrounds to create messaging for their digital marquees, whose concept you can see to the left on the screen. And in June, with the approval of the city manager, our team collaborated with the Mesa Water District to include a census-related insert in their July water bill that went to approximately 18,500 households in the city. You can see the insert below at the bottom of the screen in English. However, a Spanish version was drafted and included on the opposite side. Additionally, myself and census staff have been able to connect to organizations such as Save Our Youth and Trellis to provide flyers that were distributed along with essential items across several food distribution events. But our most successful events were the Census Car Caravans, held in both July and August, wherein Census Complete Count Committee members, representatives from the school district, and several community members drove through the city's west side, one of our hardest to count communities. This event would not have been possible were it not for the participation of our very own police department, so a thank you is in order for Chief Glass and Lieutenant Deball for their coordination. For without their support and participation, we would not have received the responses we have. So now we'll take a look at those very responses. The map at the top portrays the city's self-response rate on April 1st, which was at 43.3%. And the map on the bottom shows our most recent date of response rates as of August 31st at 71.6%. If you'll note, the bar graph to the right compares self-response rates and overall response rates between the city and the state in 2010 and 2020. Now the census has begun their door-to-door non-response follow-up, which commenced August 11th. At that point, the city had exceeded its 2010 self-response rate at 68.2%, up from its 68.1% response rate in 2010. And an overall response rate is projected at the end of this week to hit 72%. Now, to put that into perspective, if you'll notice on the far right, the state's self-response rate in 2020 is approximately 3.3% below its 2010 response rates, indicative of the deficit that the cities across the state have experienced due to COVID. So the average deficit right now is about 4% compared to 2010. I would like to also note that our overall response rate includes self-responses online, by phone, by mail, and door-to-door enumeration by the census. Now, if the response rates continue to increase by the average of 1% a week that we've been seeing, we are likely to reach an overall response between 74 and 60% by end of month. But with the response base set to end September 30th, let's explore what activities may look like for the month of September based on our August actions. Now, the month of August saw a continuation of several very successful events, including our car caravan pictured at the top here. Under the direction of the city manager, August was also dedicated to the planning of a grassroots operation with available part-time staff in Parks and Community Services set to distribute materials to households and possibly make phone calls. Through the county and its nonprofit partners, we have already been able to access materials to distribute door hangers and make calls in hard-to-count census tracts. Finally, moving away from 2020 census strategic plans, our original vision sought for questionnaire assistance centers in city and county facilities. However, with COVID-19, we'll be coordinating with the Census Bureau and interested organizations and nonprofits to host mobile questionnaire assistants, or MQAs, to assist residents who may have questions or concerns while being mindful of best practices and guidelines. We have already facilitated a connection between census staff and Share Ourselves, and a conversation on a potential MQA at their location is underway. But other potential locations include Lions Park, Shalimar Park, and the Senior Center parking lot. With that, I would like to remind those viewing that the Census Bureau has begun visiting households that have not yet completed their questionnaires. So to stop the knock, please respond to the questionnaire online at 2020census.gov, or you can call 844-330-2020. With that, I conclude my presentation. If there are any questions, comments, or suggestions, please feel free to let me know. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Now, let's see. I've lost my hand raise feature. So if anybody would like to ask a question from the council, please raise your hand and I'll call on you. Okay, seeing no one. We will move on to our, thank you, Mr. Ruiz, great job. We will move on to our Costa Mesa Minute.
Hey there, Costa Mesa. I'm Dane Bora. This is your special City Council edition of the Costa Mesa Minute, and it's good to be back. Here's a quick look at what's happening here in Costa Mesa. A new COVID-19 testing super site is now open at the OC Fair and Event Center and provides no-cost tests by appointment only, Mondays through Fridays, for individuals prioritized for testing by the California Department of Public Health. The city's Public Service Department is hosting a virtual public meeting to gather your input regarding the Adams Avenue Improvements Project, which includes infrastructure improvements to Adams Avenue between the Santa Ana River and Royal Palm Drive. The meeting is scheduled to begin at 7 p.m. via Zoom, and specific meeting instructions are available on the city website. Have you filled out your 2020 census yet? If not, you now have less than 1 month to do so, as the deadline is September 30th. And be on the lookout for Census Bureau representatives in your neighborhood who are visiting homes that have not yet responded. Fans of fair food, rejoice. You won't have to miss out on your fair food fix this year after all. The Fair Food drive-thru will offer summer treats to go from regular fair vendors Fridays through Sundays through the end of September in Lot G, which is accessible through Gate 1 off Fair Drive. Caltrans is planning closures of both SR 55 connectors to the I-405 southbound, causing delays on the 55 and around the John Wayne Airport. Updates will be available on the Caltrans OC social media or by calling the district offices. Costa Mesa Senior Center is hosting a virtual social group for veterans on the first and third Tuesday of the month at 1 p.m. Zoom login information is available by calling or emailing the Senior Center. And speaking of the Senior Center, nearly 50,000 meals have been provided to in-need seniors during the pandemic through a partnership with Meals on Wheels Orange County and the city. More info about senior meals and other essential services for seniors is available on the city website. And even though the Chargers training camp is closed to the public due to the pandemic, you can still get a glimpse of the Bolts in action at both the Jack Hammett Sports Complex and their Susan Street facility as one of 2 featured teams on the HBO documentary series Hard Knocks. Remember, you can always check out the regular edition of the Costa Mesa Minute for more about what's happening here in Costa Mesa.
Great job. Thank you, Mr. Bora. That was a great Costa Mesa Minute. Okay, at this time, we will move to public comments. Public comments will be heard on items that are not listed on our agenda. If you would like to speak to an item that is not on our agenda and address the council, please use the raise hand option at the bottom of the screen or on the side of the screen, wherever it is on your screen. Or you can press *9 to raise your hand and *6 to begin speaking if you're calling from a phone. Ms. Green, do we have any participants who would like to speak a public comment?
Yes, Madam Mayor, we do. First that I'm allowing is PIMCO. You may speak.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, I struggled with this, and but I did want to bring to the city's attention, and certainly just so the council is aware that these types of things are happening, and the city will find out about it. Now, I filed a FOIA request for salaries and pensions for the police department and the fire department. And I did receive those from Gavin Newsom's office. Last time I brought this up, the mayor and I believe Mr. Nelson kind of shrugged their shoulders and said, well, we don't pay police 6-figure salaries. We just don't do that here. Well, boy, do you. Turns out the chief of police in the city of Costa Mesa, Brian Glass, his pay is $214,000 a year. That's just his salary. Other pay is $26,550. Total pay, $240,000. Benefits, $159,620. Pension debt paid by the taxpayers of Costa Mesa, $90,000. Totaling in compensation, $490,498. That's $90,000 more than the President of the United States makes. How in the world would the city council approve this? Because this is all approved by you. He doesn't make this up. Good on Brian Glass for getting this. Good on him. That's great. And then it's freaking fabulous. A cop makes $500,000 a year. That's great. How did the city give away taxpayer money like this? How? Now, 52% of the city's budget goes to the fire department and to the police department. At my office at PIMCO, we ran some empirical data. 42% of that goes to salaries and pensions of the city's overall budget. Nice job. Nice work.
Thank you. Your 3 minutes are concluded.
I am done.
The next speaker will be Victor Jacinto, please.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen of the council. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right. I hope to find all of you well. My name is Victor Jacinto, and I am a Soy and Estancia High School alumnus, and I'm now starting my second year at Chapman University. Today, I'm here to talk to you about a situation that is affecting a large portion of the community in Costa Mesa. Before I get into it, I just want to say that we do appreciate the help that the city has already given, which includes the free groceries at the fairgrounds, the grace given on parking tickets, as well as other opportunities given. As you know, during these hard times we currently find ourselves in, it is very difficult to, 1, feel safe, and 2, to support our families and supply to their needs. The pandemic has brought upon us the need for more supplies to keep ourselves safe, but has also brought upon us the closing of many businesses around not just the country, but sadly in our city as well. As we know, a majority of the families in the Costa Mesa community live paycheck to paycheck, where all their money goes towards the high rent rates, food to put on the table, and much more. Now, given the closure of businesses, this takes away the opportunity to pay for such things. With jobs like the ones provided by restaurants, retail, etc. being taken away, this flow of income is brought to a halt. The response by the government, which is to provide stimulus checks, is also of no help to the community as they cannot fulfill their requirements to receive this. Now, the following question arises: can they apply for unemployment? Again, for a majority of them, it may not. For those who work as house cleaners, independent mechanics, this is not an option. In my case, being a dependent on my mother's taxes does not allow me to qualify for the stimulus check. I am employed, but because of the coronavirus, my job was forced to close down for months. However, I cannot apply for unemployment. This is because I would be making more money receiving unemployment than I do for my regular shifts a week. With this higher income, my school financial aid package would in turn be reduced as I am making more money. At a school where tuition is $55,000, and a reduction in my tuition or in my financial aid will put me at risk of even being able to afford it. So now this pins me against the wall, as may be the case for others in our community, where the pursuit of an education and a future career is now in jeopardy if we decide to receive unemployment. In sum, what I am asking for is a possibility of another option that these low-income families of our community can turn to during this prolonged, strenuous times. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jacinto. And for those who don't know, not just an Estancia graduate, but valedictorian. So really proud of all of his good work. Okay, next speaker, please.
Okay. Michael Long, you may speak.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you, Mayor and City Council. I appreciate you allowing me to speak. I wanted to speak to the face mask mandate in Costa Mesa. And Mayor Foley, in July, you wrote a letter to the Orange County Board of Education, and you were opposing any action at the Board of Education that contradicted the, quote, science-based to mandate facial coverings. And I wrote an email to your office and to the City Council and asked if you could point us to the science-based guidance for facial coverings. And after 2 emails, I received an email that had 4 links in it, and the links went to Orange County Health Care Agency, the California Department of Health, and 2 more that went to the CDC. And none of those links offered any science. They were merely statements that said the wearing of face mask stops the spread of the virus. And I emailed back a study that was done, and they cited 17 different scientific studies, and they came to the conclusion that cloth face masks, including N95 masks, do not stop a virus, a coronavirus or any type of virus. And most of those studies were actually done in the presence of infected individuals and healthcare workers. And I also cited another paper that was written by a board certified physician, and he cited 12 studies, and his conclusion was not only do face masks not work against the coronavirus, but they're actually harmful for healthy people to be wearing. So why do we have a mandatory face mask policy in Costa Mesa?
Okay, next speaker.
Okay. The next speaker would be Jocelyn Sanchez. Jocelyn Sanchez, you may speak.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jocelyn Sanchez. I graduated from Estancia High School this June, and I just started my freshman year at Vanguard University. I would like to thank SOIS Leadership Academy for helping me speak up tonight. I have come here tonight to speak about my concern regarding people not wearing a mask when out in public. Before I start, I would like to thank the City Council for their time and the mask policy that was recently implemented. SARS-CoV-2 is the virus that infects a human, causing the disease COVID-19. When someone is told they have COVID-19, it is because they have been exposed to many viral particles and their immune system wasn't strong enough to prevent them from developing COVID-19. When people don't wear a mask and they speak, their aerosol clouds have tiny droplets, and those droplets attach to dust in the air, which travels around. It takes 2 weeks for a person to start showing symptoms of COVID-19. Meanwhile, they go out in public, some without a face covering, and they are spreading these viral particles. Wearing a mask can reduce the number of viral particles that can be released, so the other people won't be exposed to as many viral particles and can have a lesser chance of contracting as many viral particles, which is essentially can prevent them from developing COVID-19. I would like to remind everyone that in March, the citizens of Costa Mesa were enraged at the fact that the Fairview Development Center was announced to serve as an alternative care site to serve patients infected with SARS-CoV-2. They didn't want patients who had COVID-19 be near them, so I question how is it that some of these people still manage to go into a public place without the fear of being exposed to SARS-CoV-2. We don't know if someone we encounter out in public has COVID-19, which is why we should take precautions and wear a proper face covering, one that covers our nose and our mouth. If the city of Costa Mesa was able to get a court order that kept the Fairview Development Center from use as a coronavirus quarantine site, it can push its officers to be a bit more strict, and it can push stores to ensure that their employees are being more strict. Now we see signs everywhere throughout the city of Costa Mesa that say we need to wear a mask or else we must face a fine of $100. It's safe to say that some people have not been happy about it. I have been to stores and people aren't wearing a face covering, and not a single employee has said anything to them, even after walking right by them. I have been to Fairview Park where people are not wearing a face covering even after the city was notified about the fine, and a police truck drove by these people and didn't say anything at all. I don't know what happens after I leave, but I do know that that people are getting a ticket because they parked their car back on the street after the street sweepers passed. Why are people getting tickets for that and not for not wearing a mask? I know of people who have lost their lives to COVID-19. I know of people who have survived it. For those who have left children and family behind, sacrifice yourself and wear a mask. There are masks that are effective and can help you breathe a bit better. All we have to do is put effort into educating ourselves and wearing a mask. By wearing a mask, we are saving lives. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Sanchez. We appreciate you taking time to join us in our council meeting tonight. Next speaker, please.
The next speaker is call-in user 2. You may have to press *6 to unmute yourself.
This is James Peters. I'm calling as a concerned citizen and worried about the long-term negative impact that face masks have on our community. Also concerned about the liability risk that it's creating for us business owners by asking our employees to wear face masks, and also concerned about the liability concerns that the city is facing for asking people to wear face masks. Really, is this an epidemic? Well, an epidemic is something beyond the normal range. And if you look at the Orange County Health Department for 2017 statistics in Orange County, there's 4,900 deaths, sadly, from heart attacks, sadly, 4,700 from cancer, 543 from influenza, and right now there's 979 in Orange County. Well, the CDC came out, as you know, on August 19th with a recent update. However, only 6% of those COVID deaths were real. So that really brings the number to 39. So I repeat, is this really an emergency? And so if it's not an emergency, why is everything being followed under the California Emergency Services Act? And why have kids been restricted their park access? Why are we having businesses destroyed? Why is there increased suicide by teens and off the chart drug overdoses by teens, where families being destroyed emotionally and financially. Child and domestic abuse is off the chart, face masks, and now we have 6-foot distancing. So a health emergency really must be reviewed every 30 days. Is the council doing that? Are they looking at the science? Where's the efficacy? Where's the science behind masks actually helping? So, I'm really concerned the city council is breaking the law and needs to end the mask restrictions and is really destroying the health of its citizens. Also, the city's position regarding the mothers who were arrested at Mother's Market for not wearing masks at Triangle Square. Why were they arrested? They were held hostage by the manager of the store. Why wasn't the manager of the store arrested? So I'm really concerned about what the city is doing, how they're violating the First Amendment to the Constitution, the Civil Code in California here, 51.7A. There are no exemptions for people like myself who have medical issues. For other people who have religious exemptions, we are having our rights violated by what the city has done. Also, for us employers, the oxygen level of the mask reduces it below 19.5%, and that can cause heart attacks, strokes. What about our employees who have emphysema or asthma or COPD? Are we supposed to risk their lives to abide by this mandate of the city? And again, where is the peer-reviewed journal Science to support the restrictions the city has placed on the access to our parks in the city? I've had my kids kicked out of the parks. I've had other friends kicked out of the parks. And the kids are growing obese. Why are we not protecting our kids?
I'm sorry, your 3 minutes have concluded. The next speaker would be call-in user 1. If you could hit *6 to unmute yourself, please. Call-in user 1. You might have to hit *6. Press *6.
Yes, I'd like to comment on the June 25th council meeting. At that time, the council voted to cancel one of the meetings in July. And at that time, one of the councilwomen, when a couple of the residents spoke up, was very disrespectful when they requested that meeting be not canceled, but in fact go forward. And now let's fast forward to July 22nd. And that was after the one meeting was canceled. So on July 21st, they had a very, very full agenda. In fact, an agenda so full that it went almost to 1:30 at night. It had to be postponed. 2 items were not completed. And in fact, the one item that was so important that they continue it after midnight isn't even on tonight's agenda. So I'm wondering, why did it have to go on the night of July 21st? So what I'm saying is, I think for the sake of the council members, one of them were definitely sleepy during this 1:30 time, because I know they're all going to work in the morning, but it's also inconvenient and just not rational to expect residents to be up at 1:30, 1:45 in the morning for something that's so unimportant that it didn't even arrive and place on the next agenda. Thank you.
Next speaker. Ms. Green, do we know how many more speakers are in the queue because it's 7 o'clock?
We have 2 more in the queue, Madam Mayor.
Thank you.
The next speaker will be Costa Mesa Opportunity Zone.
Hi, it's Susan Iwamoto, again advocating for the Opportunity Zone in Costa Mesa. I sat in on a conference call today regarding the new Community Development Block Grant, CV, for COVID. They announced more money that's been set aside and earmarked for opportunity zones. These are for micro enterprises. Westside Costa Mesa in our opportunity zone is also in the SEDS red zone. This is the 2 census tracts in the city of Costa Mesa that have long been identified as the most disadvantaged economically in your city, in our city. And yet our opportunity zone still doesn't have the attention that it needs in the city. Opportunity zones across the nation, when you look at Chicagoland, an incredible consortium made up of stakeholders between the public entity, private businesses. The only way opportunity zones succeed is when all the stakeholders are at the table working together. We have formed a coalition for Westside Costa Mesa called CostaMesaOZ.com, where we are now going to gather the stakeholders. We pleaded and pleaded and pleaded for the city to please help us make our opportunity zone not a missed opportunity zone. These dollars, capital gains dollars, are intended to leverage with federal dollars, state dollars from every agency, and they're earmarked for opportunity zones. You're only competing against other opportunity zones. These are monies that Costa Mesa would never, ever qualify because our income levels are too high. But when you're competing against other opportunity zones, it's really about who is paying attention. In the county of Orange, there's only one city that has anything up about their opportunity zones, and that's Santa Ana. I'm trying to help our city grab these dollars to create jobs, save jobs, create affordable housing, workforce housing, create entrepreneurship, and not forget the micro enterprise. Mayor Foley said she was going to meet with me in September. I don't want to waste your time. I'm going to put a group together, and that way, if I have no credibility with my council, maybe I can bring people to the table that have credibility so that we can be heard. Time is running out. This was a 10-year piece of legislation. The monies are earmarked for opportunity zones. Costa Mesa, there's your zone. Our zone is called the Miracle Zone. When I went to the Costa Mesa or to the Opportunity Zone Expo, an entire room laughed when they heard that we have a zone, but we do. It's in the SEDS plan that is part of Costa Mesa's plan with the county and the Economic Development Administration. We are your disadvantage.
Thank you. Your 3 minutes has concluded. The next speaker will be Stacy Lynn Taylor.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, honorable council members, and esteemed staff colleagues. My name is Stacy Lynn Taylor, and I am a candidate for the Municipal Water District of Orange County Division 4, representing Costa Mesa, Huntington Beach, and Seal Beach. As a dedicated water professional, I have worked for over 10 years at Mesa Water District, where I serve as the Water Policy Manager. In addition to my water experience, I am a 20-year Huntington Beach resident and former business owner, and I've been actively involved with many local community organizations. The Municipal Water District of Orange County is a policymaking entity, and I am serious about having a positive impact by using my water policy experience to protect our water rates, rights, and resilience. High quality, low cost water is essential for our economy, environment, and quality of life. Ensuring safe, affordable, reliable water is my top priority, and I will fight for all Orange County families and businesses to receive pure, affordable, plentiful drinking water now and always. You can learn more about me at votestacylynntaylor.com. Please feel free to call me anytime at 714-791-0848. And I also want to commend council and staff tonight for your wonderful resolution honoring the 50th anniversary of Share Ourselves. It's a wonderful charity and community service, including partnering with Mesa Water to assist our customers who are undergoing financial hardship. And SOS does pay for the water bill for those customers that are going through some sort of financial difficulties. So again, I thank you for your resolution tonight, and I thank you for your time and attention. And this concludes my remarks.
Thank you. The next speaker and our last speaker is telephone number ending in 869. You may have to press *6 to unmute yourself, please.
Hi, good evening. Tonight I would like to talk about Bill AB 1063. It's a bill by Claudia Petrie Norris. I think if this bill ever gets out of committee, residents and California residents really need to pay attention. It would basically, in Costa Mesa, undo Measure Y and do also a lot of not good things too. But the way it would undo Measure Y is that the housing, if densities are changed in the housing element, that would trigger Y, and that therefore if the housing element would have to go to the people to be approved, and it does not get approved, that voter denial could be undone by the Attorney General and the courts and basically force Costa Mesa to comply with that housing element, and against the wishes of 68% of Costa Mesa voters. I know that the current council majority, 5 out of 7 council members, think that Y is the boogeyman in the room and are trying every which way to undo it and weaken it and neuter it. However, I think there's a lot of people who would fiercely defend it and fight it, whatever level it tries to get undone at. I know there's some interesting things going in Encinitas, depending on how that turns out, but the legal question will be interesting, whether people's initiative rights can be undone by legislative action, which I think was written in the California Constitution, in Article 2, I believe, sort of as a balance of power, and to be able to rectify certain things the electeds are doing that maybe people don't agree with. And I think there's quite a battle to be had. But anyhow, watch out for AB 1063. Make sure you vet Assemblywoman Claudia Petrie Norris carefully. She's got some interesting things going on in her bills. And also quickly, I would also like to wonder why the union item from last meeting that went until late in the morning isn't on this agenda. I guess it needed to be rushed and, voted on, and then all of a sudden it's not important to be continued. So maybe someone could answer that. Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Green, was that our last speaker?
Madam Mayor, we have one more person that has raised their hand, and this will be our final speaker.
Okay, thank you.
This is Jim Vivar. Jimmy Vivar, if you would unmute yourself and you may speak.
All right, hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hi, so I am just here to inquire about the PPE distribution that Governor Gavin Newsom said that would go out to small businesses. He kept saying in his briefings that there was a large supply of PPE that had been secured by the state of California, and that this would be distributed to sectors of business that would need it. And I have been trying to call the state, county, and city, and haven't been able to find any information about this PPE. So I was wondering, where is this PPE? The city of Costa Mesa, how will it get distributed to businesses? And if more information could be given, please, since I know city of Fullerton has done distribution of PPE to businesses, and I just want to see what Costa Mesa has for us. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you for that question. Ms. Green, was that our last speaker for sure?
Yes, Madam Mayor.
Okay. All right. We will now close public comment. And at this time, I will turn it over to council members for reports and comments. And we are, in the interest of time, we are going to stick with the 4 minutes tonight. Councilmember Marr and Ms. Green, can you be the timer, please? Councilmember Marr.
Thank you. Excuse me. Thank you. And with the last speaker, Mr. Vivar, would you send me a note on Facebook or my email listed on the council website? There's a couple of different distributions of PPE going on right now, and so we can hook you up with one of them. I really appreciate the comments that Victor and Jocelyn made earlier. I think in this mask debate in election season, just sort of the harsh reality of what we've been living through and the impact it's had on so many people can get lost. And I know for some people, this has, you know, been a vacation. I don't know who's been baking sourdough, but apparently lots of people have been. But for so many people in Costa Mesa, this has just been the most difficult and desperate time. You know, we know that there's been 260,000 jobs or so lost just in Orange County. 700% increase in demand from Second Harvest. I know OC Food Bank ran out of funds 6 months earlier than normal. So many of the folks that I spoke to who were in line for the emergency food distributions were using the $40 they could save on groceries every week to pay for their rent, because it was sort of, you know, pick one thing that they could pay for the month. Even folks who are in line for small business grants that we're administering are having a hard time, you know, renewing their business license fees and doing some of the other things they need to do in order to get their ducks in a row so they can receive the grant funding. And so just sort of everywhere we've looked, people are really stressed out. You know, this is a slightly more lighthearted fact, but from the radio to today, the Google searches for sleep aids are up 47%. So people aren't sleeping. That's how stressed out they are. And so I know it's really easy to get sucked into the Facebook argument of the day, and you know, I can go back and forth with like citing a mask study for every mask study I get sent back to me. But I just wanted to step back for 1 second and like truly acknowledge how difficult this has been. And yes, of course, there are things that if I were queen for a day, I would have done differently than the governor. I think we even say as a city, there's probably something we would have done better, but we have done the best we possibly could with the information that we had available. We have been distributing hundreds of thousands of dollars of small business grants across the city. We've had our regular food distributions going on to the greatest extent possible. And it's been 6 months. I mean, I think that's the perspective that we need to have too. Like this wasn't an earthquake and then we spent the next couple of months recovering. Like this is an ongoing crisis and it has been going on for a very long time, and people are tired. That being said, city staff has just done an incredible job. I mean, I want to give a huge shout out to Dan Inlows and the entire development services team who've, you know, kept trucking with home improvement project permits and small business loans and checking on businesses and doing just everything they can to try to keep the wheels on here locally in the city. Our first responders, so the fire department's been stretched particularly thin. Nevertheless, we've been rendering mutual aid because of the horrific fires in Northern California. We have stepped up when called. I think all of our police and firefighters at this point have a story of working with folks that they pretty darn sure had COVID and powering through and doing the right thing and doing their jobs despite all of that. And so I kind of feel like we owe it to them at this point to continue doing the right thing ourselves. And that means wearing masks, that means no social distancing, that means not going to the block party, even though it may be happening and we know they are. It means being the bigger person when it's so easy to get sort of sucked back into real life and the things that you think you should be doing. But it also means so startling statistics about business closures really to Amazon's advantage. And I think that's this kind of the crazy part, is seeing the sort of the real time income gap develop. And so one of the things, in addition to wearing masks, that I think we can all be doing is making sure that every single one of our dollars is going here locally. And that means supporting local businesses, supporting grocery stores here in Costa Mesa, just doing everything you can to sort of prevent the stock price of Amazon from increasing. Yeah.
Oh, sorry,
okay.
That was 4 minutes.
I thought I could get it done faster than that. Anyway, thank you all for your support so far. I just felt like it was important to sort of recap what was going on from the big picture.
Thank you. We appreciate that. Thank you. Okay, next up is, sorry, I lost my agenda here. Councilor Mansour.
So I just want to say that I appreciate everyone that spoke up tonight. I know there's a variety of opinions and comments, and I'm not going to get into the weeds of all that. But I especially with just the the mood of our country, our state, our city, I appreciate civic involvement of people. And I would call for people to do it respectfully. There's enough bad things going on in the world. I would just ask people to involve themselves in a respectful manner when it comes to civic involvement and engaging on the issues. Other than that, we have a full agenda tonight, so I'm just going to say thank you to all the people who spoke up tonight. If you ever have questions, comments, please feel free to email me. My email is on the city website, and happy to respond directly to anything. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Guinness.
Let's see. I would like to offer my congratulations to SOS, and I would imagine in these kind of trying times, they're probably being asked to do more than they've been doing historically, even in 50 years of helping people, of getting people food, of getting people utilities paid, getting people medical attention. That's really quite something, and they're to be congratulated. And we're still kind of feeling our way, and the state does tend to, how would I put it, frequently change their rules. So we're trying here, but one of the things I would really like to encourage people to do when they do shop is try to patronize local businesses and local independents. A little guy, that's the only business he has. He doesn't have a chain of them in different states. And this is like day-to-day livelihood. So when you do go out to get a cup of coffee, nothing against Starbucks, but do try to go to one of our little independent coffee shops, or when you're going to go get a meal. If you want a hamburger, we have independent hamburger places too. So I just want to encourage people to try to patronize our local businesses, because those are local owners, local employees, and they're struggling. So please help. Thank you.
Okay, next up is Councilmember Reynolds.
All right. Well, thank you for all the comments we've heard so far. Wholly support the encouragement to shop local. I made a vow early on not to cancel my Amazon membership and not order anything anymore, and have been working really hard to get myself out to all our local coffee shops. I think especially as the holidays come around, really think about trying to support our local business. So thank you for those comments. It's very helpful, and I try to focus a lot of my time to hear the stories of the different struggles that our residents are facing, from challenges of having kids at home, going to school at home, to of course the business challenges. One of the stories I think we heard tonight too, that came up this week in a neighborhood was the ticketing, the street sweeping ticketing. And that's something that I talked to our city manager about, and would like us to be really dig into how we're enforcing some of our ticketing policies, especially related to street sweeping. One of the things I think it was Jocelyn shared, we had ticketing come in after the fact, after street sweeping passed. And I understand we want to make sure that our streets are cleared so the street sweeping can happen. But we shouldn't be ticketing people after the sweeping has passed. There's not enough parking in our neighborhoods. This is something that we've brought up multiple times, and we're working on resolving. What happens in some of these neighborhoods is people listen for the street sweeper, run out, get in their car, move their car as the sweeper passes, and then park once it's passed. We need to make sure that we're not ticketing people in those scenarios. Another thing that we've been seeing happening is a lot more walking, biking, skating around our streets. I think this is a result of many different changes. But one is that people, every dollar counts, right? And so the more people can get out on their feet, support local businesses, we want them to do that. I've seen quite a few posts from our police and fire departments on vehicle collisions into a hydrant at South Coast Plaza, and into a pole, I think, on Adams. So I'm really glad that some advocacy groups, members of our bike walk committee, have been able to continue working with staff on strategies to make our streets safer for all road users. If you pay attention to social media, you'll hear soon about a demonstration project coming up this weekend in a couple different places on the west side to test out some strategies for slowing vehicles down in places that are very popular for walking and biking. So please keep your eyes on those. These are demonstration projects to, again, test different strategies and see if those are strategies that could become permanent solutions to speeding vehicles. Just a note on the opportunity zones, Miss Susan, I'll just say Miss Susan. I know we've talked a couple times about opportunity zones. I'm happy to hear that you are, if you're still on, that you are engaging with others who may have ideas. The last we spoke, we talked about what could be potential projects that we could pursue. I know you've been on these council calls and you hear how strapped our staff are, so we really want to make sure that we're dedicating any staff time to real projects that could provide a community benefit. So I'd be happy to hear if you guys have some specific project opportunities that we could look at for the opportunity zones. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Reynolds. Okay, next up is Councilmember Chavez.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you everyone for coming to today's council meeting. It's been a while since we heard from you, so I'm very happy to hear your voices once again. I want to give a quick shout out to Victor and Jocelyn for speaking today. I know it was fun working with them this past month on how to get involved in Costa Mesa. I'm very happy them to have used their voice to speak on important issues in Westside Costa Mesa. Particularly thank you, thank you, Member Reynolds, for bringing up the ticketing situation in Joanne Street, and thank you, Member Marr, for acknowledging the difficult times that Victor has mentioned. That being said, we have done some good things this past month. As mentioned earlier, we did do our second caravan for the census. Mayor Foley and Mayor Pro-Tem Stevens were there, along with Newport Mesa Unified School District Trustee Ashley Anderson. Always great to go in the community, and a fun way to engage people, a fun way to promote the census, because truly it's a really important thing. And I'll keep repeating this, this is money that the government gives us for everything, for our streets, for our students. It ensures we have, the equipment we need for public safety. It's really important to do the census. So if not done so yet, please do it. It's really easy, 2020census.gov. That's where you need to go. You can do it on your phone. It's really easy. I took the time this month to tour Someone Cares Soup Kitchen in my district. Really excited to see them upping up their food distribution because we are really in a time of need. Families are still struggling. Not everyone's back working, and it's really nice seeing community staples like Someone Cares Soup Kitchen really stepping up to ensure the safety of Costa Mesa. One thing I repeatedly said is that we're all in this together. We're a family in Costa Mesa, and we have to help each other out where we can and when we can, because we're not out of the woods yet. We are going down in COVID cases, which is really good, but just because we're going down doesn't mean it's over. We got to still maintain the mask, to maintain distance, because now more than ever, it's important for us to truly get this over with and not get a second spike like we did during summer. And then lastly, I want to acknowledge something really quickly. I did tour the Trade Winds mobile home apartments off of Harbor this Friday. We had a couple of code enforcement issues and a couple of feral cats in that property. Just a quick update to those in my community. I've already put this up with City Manager Lorianne Phil-Harris, and we're going to bring it up with the police chief as well and get a plan to make sure that all residents in Costa Mesa have a high quality of life. Because, truly everyone deserves that quality of life in Costa Mesa, and everyone should have that. And with that, I'll just say thank you everyone for coming and joining us today, and have fun this night.
Thank you, Council Member. Okay, Mayor Pro Tem Stevens.
Thank you to everybody who spoke, and thank you to Pastor Phil for bringing up President Kennedy. I know where I was on November 22nd, 1963, I was 10 months old. And 10 months before that, I was named after President Kennedy. And it's good to hear his words and know that there's hope that we'll have a president talk about brotherhood again someday. We've had some good things that have happened in our community, some really good things. We have, I was at the opening of the testing super site, and that's right at the fairgrounds. If anybody needs to be tested, you have to sign up and make an appointment, but it's free. And so if anybody feels like they've been exposed or having symptoms, right here in Costa Mesa, you can be tested. Also last week, I went to the opening of a homeless shelter, the groundbreaking of a homeless shelter in Huntington Beach. And it's been a long road for the folks in Huntington Beach. It's a 174 bed shelter. And I'm really glad and proud that they're getting that off the ground. I've been working for a couple years with some of their council members on homelessness issues. So I'm happy that that's happening in a neighboring city. Closer to home in Costa Mesa, we just learned that the number now is 151 individuals who have received permanent housing since we opened our shelter in April of 2019. That's pretty impressive. So thank you to the staff and to Mercy House for that. Remember our last meeting, as one of the callers said, our last meeting was on July 21st. And since July 21st, regarding our COVID numbers, we've made some really good progress. And I don't know why necessarily, I mean, but I credit it to businesses that are complying, businesses who've made the adjustments that they need to do, and residents that are complying with the wearing masks and social distancing and staying home and avoiding gatherings. And so we're almost to a point now where we can continue to open and even have schools that open, which for in-person education, which is really important. Thank you to our police officers and our firefighters. Police officers have been going through all kinds of crazy stuff with protests, as we've seen at Mother's Market and whatnot. And then our firefighters who are out fighting the lightning fire. One group just got back, another group's still up there. So please remember them in your prayers. And finally, I'd like us to remember, speaking of prayers, Floyd Waldron, who died of COVID. He's a former police officer, but I remember him as a dad, a Little League dad. We used to just talk while we were watching our kids play. And he died at age 69. He's got a big, beautiful family. So let's remember him when we adjourn the meeting, please.
Thank you. Thank you to everyone for your thoughtful comments tonight. And yes, it's been a rough couple of weeks. We've lost a lot of our amazing dads in our community. In addition to Mr. Waldron, who is a Costa Mesa High School zone, loved father. We also lost Chief Stefano's dad, Vince, this week. So our condolences to Chief and his family. And then to Fred Bachmiller, who is our Mesa Water Board member, he also lost his father this week. So many condolences out to those families and for their losses, and all three men who gave greatly in their community and for public service and always volunteering. I know Chief Stefano's dad was even a former mayor. So our hearts go out to you. Street sweeping. I'd like to ask that on our September 15th agenda that we add an item to retroactively remove all tickets for street sweeping that have been issued in the last, since we went back to issuing tickets, and we put that on the agenda. We're still struggling to get through this, and I think that that's only fair. And then as it relates to PPE for small businesses, we yes, to the gentleman who was asking about it. I know Councilmember Marr has a lot of great resources for that. There's also the Costa Mesa Chamber of Commerce is helping with that. And so I know Ms. Green might have the contact information. Just let us connect you to where you can get some resources. And then I also wanted to remind everyone that even though we were dark for the council meetings in August, we've all been very busy continuing to do the good work for our city, and appreciate our leadership of our city manager to keep us moving in the right direction, to keep us financially healthy. Had a great update with her today with Mayor Pro Tem Stevens, and looking forward to seeing some reports here come out soon. But thank you for your leadership in keeping us healthy financially, and keeping our city team healthy, because I'm on calls with all 34 mayors, and we actually are doing quite well for our own city team to keep them healthy. And I credit the work of our leadership team in setting up protocols and safety measures early on during the pandemic that have kept our team healthy and continuing to be able to work. So thank you for that. Also, got to help to open South Coast Plaza at 25% yesterday. So that's good news because we're doing so much better with regard to keep maintaining our social distancing, wearing our facial coverings, which are so important to wear your face mask. And despite those who don't believe, I believe, and I do think that the science supports wearing face masks as a way for us to get out of this pandemic, get back to our lives, get back to thriving businesses, get our kids back in school. I know so many families that are having such a hard time trying to juggle working from home and their kids in the other room doing Zoom. And it's just, you know, we've got to get back to our lives, and wearing your face masks is one way to do that. So as we go into our September Labor Day weekend, I would encourage everyone to just, you know, use good common sense and socially distance. Try not to gather too much. I know we all want to get together and hang out and see our friends, but it's so important to wear your face mask and try to avoid those gatherings just a little bit longer. I really think it'll pay off in the end. So thank you all. And we have a long meeting ahead, so I'm going to move us forward. Ms. Farrell Harrison, do you have a report? You're on mute.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and Council. I know that we have a few items to go over, and so I won't make too many lengthy remarks, but I did want to thank you for your leadership during this really difficult time. No one expected for this to last 6 months. I have to say that, you know, as a city manager for Costa Mesa, this just having been my first year, it's been a real pleasure working with you and just being part of a team that's showing such incredible leadership in the region and helping to guide us through a really difficult time between the COVID-19 pandemic, the wildfires, the civil unrest, the power outages, the extreme heat. We have been able to address all of those challenges in a way that I'm really proud of, and it's because of the great partnership that we have with you, our council, your readiness to address certain issues, your availability at the nth hour when we've needed to do that. And so I just wanted to thank you on behalf of the leadership team for really being accessible and caring and compassionate and always available to help us deal with the really challenging issues that we've been facing for the past 6 months. And given that we're going to be dealing with this a little bit longer, I just wanted to tell you how thankful we are for your support and for addressing all of the incredibly complex issues that we've had to face together. And so I know that we have more work to do, but just wanted to thank you for that. And wanted to thank our first responders. We do still have Engine 82 over at the lightning fire. And so they've been there for about a week or so. And so we still continue to have incredible staff providing mutual aid, again, throughout the region. There is no monopoly on emergencies. And so while we're battling COVID-19, we're also providing mutual aid and trying to save property and life in other regions of the state that are suffering from a dual emergency. And so thanks to the chief and Chief Stefano and all of the incredible men and women of the fire department for their commitment and dedication. And we will be providing updates in October related to our finances, preliminary information regarding fiscal year 1920. And so working very closely with Carol Molina, our new finance director on that, and we'll be able to provide an update to you. Preliminary and unaudited, but a good look at what's transpired in the last fiscal year for your review and consideration. And so that's all I have for you tonight. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Ms. Barlow, City Attorney report.
Yes, Madam Mayor, I actually have a number of items I just wanted to update everyone on in regards to our litigation over our group home use, sober living home ordinances. We have achieved a number of victories that haven't had an opportunity to report publicly on. In the Casa Capri case, we were successful in having attorney's fees and cost awarded to us in the total amount of $124,000 in that case, which was very nice. And then in the northbound treatment raw recovery matter, again, them suing us, we had our motion for summary judgment was granted and final judgment was entered in the case just a couple of weeks ago on August the 17th. We also have in the Pacific Shores case, we were successful in that case previously, and then we received an attorney's fee and cost award of just about $25,000 in that case. In the SoCal recovery matter, we had our motion for summary judgment was granted in April, but final judgment was just entered in July on that case. We have a fee motion pending. And the Summit Coastal Living case, I think we previously reported on the judgment in that matter, but another fee and cost motion was granted in total amount of about $22,000 in that matter. And then we have two of the public nuisance abatement actions filed against some of the homes that are operating illegally. In the SoCal recovery case, city's motion for summary judgment was granted at the end of July, and we are simply awaiting final judgment on that. And the Pacific Shores recovery case, our motion for summary judgment was granted July 6th, and we are awaiting final judgment. In the national or the raw recovery, City of Costa Mesa versus Raw Recovery National Therapeutics, our motion for summary judgment was granted on August the 17th in that case. So that's the good news I wanted to report on that score. And then if the council will indulge me for just a moment, obviously there have been a number of questions and criticisms. And in particular, I have been contacted numerous times, as have the council members, by individuals questioning the authority for the mask order and for the emergency and for the fact that it's continuing. And we've posted a bunch of this information on our website, but I just want to give a very, very brief summary. I've been told or asked why the Constitution of the United States does not prevent us from ordering people to wear masks or prohibit the state from doing so, or the county. In fact, all three, the county, the state, and the city have ordered it. So I think that's important to recall, that this is not just a question of what has been done in this city, but is in actual effect all throughout the state and throughout the county. But more than 100 years ago, the United States Supreme Court ruled that the inherent police powers of governments, states, counties, cities, give them the right to protect the public health and safety. Not just the right, but in actuality, the obligation to do that. And so in that case, from 1905, the question I think had to do with a completely different kind of infectious disease, but it also involved a quarantine and the ability to keep someone who was infected with a deadly disease from spreading it at will. And so that case has been, relied on throughout, again, over 100 years, and repeatedly upheld. We've had numerous court cases in the state of California challenging a number of the governor's orders. All of those cases have upheld those orders. We have laws on our books that allow for the declaration of an emergency and allow for the implementation of rules, regulations, and laws. Yes, they carry the force of law as a result of those emergencies. For those who've questioned the need to renew the emergency, that obligation was suspended by the governor's order in this case. Just for some additional information, the county health officer is also the city's health officer. So when the county health officer tells us that people have to wear masks, then we have an obligation to enforce that, even if we don't have our own regulation to that effect. I do think that it's important to realize that all of the orders have exceptions and exemptions for people who have health conditions that would make it difficult for them to or impair their health. There is no First Amendment exception, just like there's no First Amendment exception to intentionally infecting somebody with the measles or the mumps or AIDS or any number of other deadly diseases. So that's just a summary of the law. Again, most of this information, or at least some of it in a nutshell, is on our city's website. As much as I do love responding to citizens, I'm simply not paid by the council, by the city, to have prolonged debates with the public on these issues by email. So I was hoping that this statement would address some of the many, many concerns that I've received. And that is all I have.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Stevens, did you have something?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, with respect to all those great results that City Attorney Barlow mentioned, that she's on top of all these cases, and a lot of gratitude for the community of everything you've done. And in addition to that, back in 2019, early 2019, the City Council hired the law firm Everett Dory, and specifically Cy Everett, as our outside counsel handling those cases. And I just want to give them a shout out. They've done an absolutely remarkable job under the supervision of our city attorney. So congratulations to you, Ms. Barlow, and also to Everett Dory and Cy Everett and his whole team.
Yeah, I echo that. And I have a question, Ms. Barlow. We've been getting a lot of emails about, this goes to the comment you made about the city health officer is the county health officer. And so we have to comply with the orders of the county health officer. We've been getting a lot of emails about the opening of sports fields. Can you address that and where we are in that process?
Yes, we've been working very closely with your community services and parks staff and Mr. Minter and Susan, Ms. Price. Right now, we are not supposed to be allowing use of those fields, no youth sports. The only thing that is allowed under state guidelines and the county's direction, as we understand it, are one-on-one kind of coaching, training type of arrangements, and family, groups of kids from the same family, maybe shooting hoops together, that kind of thing. But there is no, we are not allowed to do that. I know that it appears that the school district has begun the process of allowing for some permitting, but we understand from the state that that's not permitted at this time.
And so are we planning for when it will be permitted?
Yes, that we are working towards the hopefully the time soon when we will be able to open our playing fields, when we will be able to open the skate park, when we will be able to open the playgrounds and so on. And as you know, we've tried very hard to open whatever recreational facilities we've been able to as we have moved forward through this pandemic and tried to implement appropriate safety measures everywhere. We, people are able to use the parks. They're biking and they're walking and they're skating and they're engaging in individual activities like that and family activities. And we hope that soon, and we are planning for soon, the ability to further open our recreational facilities.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you for that report. Okay, we're going to turn to the consent calendar. All matters listed under the consent calendar are considered to be routine and will be acted upon in one motion. There'll be no separate discussion on these items unless members of the City Council, staff, or a member of the public previously requested a specific item to be discussed or removed from the consent calendar. And Ms. Green, did we have any requests to have any consent calendar items pulled by the council or the public?
Madam Mayor, I have none.
Okay. At this time, if you could raise your hand in the participants window and we'll get a motion for the consent calendar. I'm not sure if I'm seeing it for some reason. Okay, there we go. Councilmember Marr.
I'll move to approve the items on the consent calendar.
Okay, Mayor Pro Tem Stevens?
Second.
Oh, okay. Call for the question by voice vote with Ms. Green. Can you ask for the voice vote?
Councilmember Reynolds?
Yes.
Councilmember Marr?
Yes.
Councilmember Mansour?
Yes.
Councilmember Guinness?
Yes.
Councilmember Chavez?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Stevens?
Yes.
Mayor Foley?
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
Okay, excellent. We have no public hearings tonight. We have no old business tonight. We do have some new business items. And so, City Clerk, can you please read the title for the new business item number 1?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. First item is designation of voting delegate and voting delegate alternates for 2020 League of California Cities Annual Conference. And staff is recommending tonight that the City Council designate a member as the main voting delegate and up to 2 alternate voting delegates for the League Conference that'll be held October 7th and 9th. And that'll be a virtual conference this year. Currently, we have the mayor and council members Marr and Reynolds registered to attend the conference. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Any questions? Mayor Pro Tem Stevens, is that left over from the last? Okay. I don't see any hands raised. Okay, we'll close or we'll open public comment. If you would like to speak to this item, if you could please raise your hand in the participants window, or you can press *9 to raise your hand and then *6 to speak when your number is called upon. Ms. Green, do we have any speakers?
Madam Mayor, we do not.
Okay, close the public comment. Council, if you would like to make a motion, please raise your hand in the participants window. No one wants to make a motion? Okay.
Who wants to do it?
Mayor Pro Tem Stevens, I'll make the motion.
Yeah.
I'll move that Councilmember Reynolds be designated as the delegate with Council Members Marr and Mayor Foley as the backup alternates.
Second.
Okay, Councilmember Reynolds.
Oh, I was late in raising my hand.
Seeing no further discussion, let's call for the question by voice vote.
Councilmember Chavez?
Yes.
Councilmember Gannis?
Yes.
Councilmember Mansour?
Yes.
Councilmember Marr?
Yes.
Councilmember Reynolds?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Stevens?
Yes.
Mayor Foley?
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
Okay. Now we have a new business item number 2.
Approval of Finance Department Payroll Staffing Plan, corresponding resolutions adding related job classification and the salary range. Presentation by Ms. Molina, Finance Director.
Ms. Molina, are you on the call?
Yes, I am here. I'm starting to share the screen so I can go through a PowerPoint presentation with you.
Okay.
Okay, I hope you can see the PowerPoint presentation. And wanted to bring forth a proposal to reorganize and restructure the finance department by reclassifying a current vacant accountant confidential position that is currently in the accounting division. So currently the accounting division has one accounting supervisor, two accountants, two accounting specialists, and one payroll coordinator. This one payroll coordinator is the only one staff person currently dedicated to the city's entire payroll system. As a full service city that incorporates multiple levels of complexities within its payroll, from fire, telestaffing, the police department, and so forth, and over 10 bargaining groups, MOUs, each one are specifically different that have to be programmed. Having only one person running the payroll for about 70% of the entire city's budget is unrealistic. So I am proposing to reclassify a accounting to a payroll supervisor that will provide the much needed overview of all of the payroll duties, including the reporting structures for the federal, state, and PERS regulations that we have to adhere to every single payroll. Any timely deferrals would cost the city much money in fines that currently we are lucky enough to not have had that issue. As a result, I am proposing to reclassify vacant positions to ensure this realignment improves the critical payroll of monitoring and review in our payroll processes that are time sensitive. So the finance department would be restructured to have 3 units under the assistant finance director, to include the payroll unit to have satisfactory overview, as well as ensure adequate checks and balances. And it also encourages cross-training and builds a succession planning that is much needed for the city of Costa Mesa. At this time, I'm available to answer any questions related to this request.
Okay, thank you for that report. Council members, does anyone have any questions? Please raise your hand in the participants window. Okay, seeing no one, I will open this item up for public comment. Again, if you would like to speak to this item, use the hand raise option on the participants window. If you're joining the meeting on your phone and would like to speak, please press *9 to raise your hand and *6 to speak when your number is called. Ms. Green, do we have any participants who would like to speak to this item?
Yes, Madam Mayor. The first speaker will be Pimco. You may speak.
Yeah, yeah. Why don't you just reacquire the money from another area? I mean, clearly the lady needs another person. So why don't you just reacquire the money? There's plenty of money, apparently, in the police fund. Just get some money from the police fund or the fire department. Why don't you get some money from there? How about that? Have a nice night.
Okay, thank you. Next speaker.
Madam Mayor, we have no other speakers.
Okay, thank you. I will close public comment. Council, is there a motion? Okay, Councilmember Chavez.
I move staff recommendation to reclassify the existing accountant to be a payroll supervisor.
Second.
Okay, motion by Councilmember Chavez, second by Councilmember Mar. And did either of you wish to speak to the item?
Briefly, it's important for us to have longevity planning, and this ensures us that we have two people currently who know how to do payroll. So I think it's a good motion.
Thank you. Okay, Councilmember Mar, anything?
Yeah, we've been talking about this as a single point of failure for at least the last 2 years. Yeah, so we need to get it fixed. I'm glad you brought it forward, Ms. Molina.
Okay, seeing no other hands raised, I would agree. I will support the motion. I know that we've been talking about this for at least 4 years that I'm aware of. And so thank you to Ms. Molina and Ms. Farrell Harrison for helping us to create a succession plan in the finance department, the most important department in the City Hall building. So thank you so much. And with that, we will call for the question. And just to clarify, this is just this is creating a new position, reappropriating funds from another position, and adding slightly a small amount to that. Call for the question by voice vote. Ms. Green?
Councilmember Reynolds?
Yeah.
Councilmember Mar?
Yes.
Councilmember Mansour?
Yes.
Councilmember Guinness?
Yes.
Councilmember Chavez?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Stevens?
Yes.
Mayor Foley?
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
All right, thank you very much. Madam Clerk, will you please read the title for item number 3?
Item number 3 is consider revision to City Council compensation. Presentation by Ms. Hall Barlow, City Attorney.
Good evening again, Mayor, members of the council. I was requested to indicate that by Councilmember Mansour that he was the one who requested this item be brought forward. The council last had its compensation altered in 2009. It was cut at that time. It has not been increased since that time. And the council is being asked to advise staff if there is any direction to bring forward any change to council compensation, although it could be increased. I believe that the request was made in hopes that it would be reduced. As the council members are aware, because we previously talked about this at a public meeting, council compensation cannot be increased during someone's term until someone new is seated, which means that if there was to be an increase, which isn't proposed, that could not take effect for any member of the council, but until a new seating in December. However, it would then take effect for all members of council. It's a different rule when it comes to a reduction in compensation. Reduction in compensation cannot occur during a person's term of office, and therefore the only positions that would be affected after the next election would be the mayor and the district seats for districts 1, 2, and 6. The council members who are currently from districts 3, 4, and 5 would not be affected until after the 2022 election, when those seats would be again up for election. All of the council members after the last meeting at which this was discussed were provided with an option of voluntarily reducing their pay. And I know that many of the council members have taken that or have submitted that request. I believe that also one of the Parks Commissioners has submitted a similar request. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions that the council may have.
Hey, Councilmember Mansour, did you want to add anything since this was your request?
Thank you. Very briefly. First of all, thank you, Ms. Barlow, for bringing this forward. Yes, I did request it. I mean, we've asked a lot of our employees to make some cuts, and I'm grateful for that. And I think we need to set the example by putting something more solid, more permanent in place. Even though we don't get paid a ton, I think it goes a long way. We didn't ask our employees to just do something voluntarily where they could, do it for a few months or whatever length of time. But this economic downturn is not going to be fixed in the next day or two. It's going to be with us for a long time if we ever recover completely financially. And of course, we'll be hearing more details about the financial situation. 5%, of 900, $45, and 10% is 90. So it's not some huge amount, but it certainly would set the tone. And we asked employees to take cuts in their livelihood. I don't think this is sole source of income or livelihood for any of us up here. And so I think it would go a long way to do something like this, whatever the amount is that we can agree on, and make it a little more permanent. And so I would ask for your support. I think a long way showing leadership in our community to solving, or at least setting the tone and the example of trying to solve our financial situation. Thank you. I can't hear you.
Sorry. Seeing no other hands in the queue, I'm going to open this item up for public comment. And Ms. Green, let me read this. If you would like to speak to this item, please use the raise hand option on your screen. If you're joining the meeting on your phone and would like to speak, please press *9 to raise your hand and *6 to speak when your number is called on. Ms. Green, do we have any comments?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We do. We have Pimco. You may speak.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Mr. Mansour, why is any employee of the city of Costa Mesa giving anything back to the community when the fire department and the police department is giving nothing back in salary? You have a police chief making $500,000 a year. That is a shitty example. I'm sorry. I am sorry. You're asking the taxpayers to absorb that, and now you're asking the people who work for your city, for our city, for my city, to give 5%, 10% back? That's obscene. That's my opinion.
Great, thank you so much. Just as a reminder, if we could keep the comments respectful for family-friendly audiences. You don't have to, but it's just a request. Okay.
Can I briefly respond to that since it was directed specifically to me?
No, not yet, Mr. Mansour. Councilor Mansour.
I just want to let him know that he's going to leave the thing, but I would like that, and we usually do when someone specifically calls us out as an individual. I'd like to clarify something if I could.
Go ahead if you'd like to go. Go ahead.
Thank you. I greatly appreciate that. So to the person that just spoke, I hope you're still there. I have been, and I'm happy to converse with you, away from the meeting, on the phone or by email or whatever. I have been very outspoken on pension reform. I've been very fiscally conservative and speaking up about these issues, and I appreciate your frustration. When I was in Sacramento in the state assembly, I refused any pay raises. What's on the agenda tonight is for us to take a pay cut. Granted, it's not that much. Some may say it's symbolic, but it sets the tone. I was concerned with some of the recent negotiations, and I did not support them. So I'm not sure what your beef with it is with me, but I've been trying to rein in some fiscal sanity here, and it is out of control. There's a lot of things that are unfunded, the unfunded pension liability, which I agree needs to be addressed, and it's gotten way out of control. But I think you're misunderstanding something that's going on. But I'm happy to speak with you on the phone if you like at some point. Just reach out to me. Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Green, did we have any other speakers?
Madam Mayor, we do not.
Okay, thank you so much. I will close the public comment. Councilmember Chavez.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll move the motion to receive and file.
I'd like to make a substitute motion.
Hold on, was there a second?
Second.
Okay. Councilmember Mansour.
I'll make a motion to implement a 10% pay cut. If there's a second, I'm happy to discuss the amount, but that's a motion to see if there's even a second to set the example of cutting our own pay. We're asking employees to cut their pay, and this council is not. If this council is not willing to cut any of their pay, that's ridiculous. But my motion is 10% cut in pay.
I'll second.
If
Councilmember Reynolds had her hand up. Did you want to speak?
Oh, that was for the second on the previous motion. I have a clarifying question for Ms. Barlow. I want to understand, Ms. Barlow, what you described in your staff report. A motion, as you said, to any changes to council compensation would be, you said, would only take place as part of a new election. So anything that we voted on tonight would not apply to anyone who's termed out and not reelected, if I understand correctly, and would only apply to the new positions that come in December. So it wouldn't apply. So we would start in December with council members with different compensations. Did I understand that correctly?
That's correct. The two current at-large seats held by council members Guinness and Mansour they're going away. We'll have 3 new seats. Council I'm sorry. Mr. Stevens' at-large seat is also going away, but he's not termed out. So the 3 new districts will be 1, 2, and 6. Yes, and if this motion passes, their pay would be reduced 10%, as well as the mayor's, but the other 3 council members who still have 2 more years on their term would continue to receive the current pay, subject to, of course, the voluntary reductions that I know Councilmember Reynolds and Marr and, well, I think all of the others of you have already taken.
So thank you. And so the alternative is that any of us have the opportunity to voluntarily take a reduction.
Correct.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll make a substitute motion. My substitute motion is to receive and file and request that the city attorney post the forms that each of us took in terms of our reduction in our pay. I know I took 20%.
Second.
Unfortunately, there's already a substitute motion on the floor.
I know, making a substitute the substitute.
Okay.
Okay. Any further discussion? Councilmember Guinness, I'm not sure if you had your hand up from before.
I did, because so every time we've always had offset council terms, and it just strikes me as odd, because I remember in the early 90s when we gave ourselves a pay cut, and I thought we all took it together.
That's right.
And then I thought, then they gave themselves a raise. I don't know when they gave themselves a raise, but I thought they all took it together. Is that normal? I don't know. It just strikes me as weird because it seems like then you basically, anytime you change the compensation, it's always going to be kind of goofy like that. That makes no sense.
What she explained was that you can, if you give a raise, which I think they did when Mayor Monahan was in office and Councilmember Mansour was on the council at that time, they gave a raise and they could do it. You can do a raise, but you can't do a reduction. That's what she explained.
Correct. But there've been reductions twice too, and I didn't remember that oddball thing. But I guess whatever, or maybe we weren't following the rules.
Yeah, there were some reductions, but that apparently nobody asked the question about the timing of it, and the AG opinion makes clear that it's unlawful to reduce compensation that was fixed at the time you were elected.
Okay, let's see. We're going to go to Council Member Chavez.
Oh, my apologies. My hand's up from before.
Okay, Councilor Mansour, have you still have a comment, or your hand was up from before?
So, Ms. Barlow, to clarify, the third motion is the one we're going to do first?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Councilmember Mansour, did you take a cut and pay already?
I did when I was in Sacramento. I took a real cut and pay. I refused all pay raises in Sacramento when that was real salary, real livelihood. This is nothing. Yeah, I can go in and fill out a form for a couple more months and it's going to save the city like $90 or something like that. I mean, it's so pathetic and so symbolic that you want to wave up there, oh, I volunteered to take a cut and pay, and next month or any time you can rescind it like that and have your full pay restored. I'm talking about putting something in place permanently, and you're not showing leadership. You're showing leadership just to do as I say, but not as I do. Take a real stand for some type of fiscal reform. It's not going to hurt you or any of us financially. At least I don't believe it will. But let's make this real and let's make it permanent for a long time. And let's put something towards our parks or programs. We could save a few, even if it's a few $1,000s. A lot of people are hurting right now. Put something to some real program where we can really help people out. Let's do that. How about that for a motion?
Mayor Pro Tem Stevens?
May I speak? Yes.
Yes.
So I just want to just tell you what my methodology was. One of the things, just to be very transparent with the public about what we get paid, because I think that it's not terribly clear, no offense to whoever did the staff report, is we get paid a salary, which is $904 a month. We also get a benefits bucket. And the benefits bucket can be used to pay things like, healthcare and eyeglasses and dental and whatnot. It could also be if you don't need that, and like I don't need it because I have at my law firm a group plan. So you also have an option to have that money be deferred income to go into a retirement plan. And that number that we get is approximately $2,100, if I'm not mistaken. So what I did when I decided what I was going to forego because of the furloughs is I tried to do some rough justice to what is approximately like the average amount of money, not percentage, but the average amount of money, real dollars, that our employees are giving up. And some are more, some are less. So I just tried to figure it out, and I figured it's about $600. And I'm sure I'm not right on the money, but in the ballpark. So I backed that out and I said, I want to do a 20% reduction. So I did a 20% reduction. And that comes out, I'm not even sure. I think it all comes out of the 904. And so that it started immediately. As soon as I got the form, the very next pay period, and that's been what's been accruing ever since that time. This is why I support this motion, because I think the public should know, what are we doing? What did we do when we were asked to do it back, not prospectively back in the day. So that's 20%. I don't know, maybe that's not enough. Maybe I should do 25% or whatever, but that's my methodology and the way I did it, to try to create some equity between me and the average employee. I am committed for sure to do that through the election. Now, I'm up for re-election, and I do hope that I get elected. And if I do, that I'm committed to continue that through the furloughs. And maybe even beyond that, who knows? Because Councilmember Mansour is right. I don't do this for the money. I do it as public service to my community as a resident, trying to give back, like my coaching and all the other stuff I've done over the years, auctioning at the St. John the Baptist. It's just one of many things that I've done for years to try to help my community. But here's the thing about Councilmember Mansour's motion is there's only maybe two people that are going to be affected by this, maybe zero. We know for sure that Councilmember Mansour is not going to get affected by this because he's not running for re-election for city council. I'm running for re-election for city council in a contested race. Mayor Foley and Councilmember Guinness are both running for mayor. One of them may win, maybe one of them won't win. So we don't know that. And then we know, of course, the other three council members, Marr, Reynolds, and Chavez, at least for the first 2 years, are not going to suffer the consequences of any cut based on the motion that was made by Councilmember Mansour. So I think it's like a purely sort of rhetorical, I don't know, I hate to use this term because I don't want to be pejorative, but kind of a grandstandy type thing, you know? So that's why I like the motion that was made by the mayor, because it makes us kind of just clear to the public. What have we done? What did we do when we were asked to do it? So I support the mayor's substitute motion.
Okay, call for the question by voice vote. Ms. Green?
Well, I have a question.
My hand is up to speak.
Well, I apologize, Councilmember Mansour. You never put your hand down, so it's hard for me to tell. Go ahead.
Thank you. Well, first of all, I asked for this to come forward weeks ago, and when I didn't know if I was going to run for mayor or not, and it was supposed to be on a previous agenda. It wasn't put on there, and then it finally got on tonight. So this was way before I even knew if I was going to run for mayor or not. Of course, Sandy Guinness is running, and so I'm not going to run for that. But either way, I support it. But this is not grandstanding. This is something that's real that will affect every council member over time. Granted, it will only affect 4 people right after the election, and it will take till 2 years to affect the other 3. But it will reduce pay. If you want to talk about grandstanding, great. Post who's done what voluntarily for a limited time. This makes it permanent. It does what we asked our employees to do and take a solid cut. And it's not that much, and it should be done. But I can see there's no support for it. There's no support for any type of fiscal reform on this council majority.
Okay, Councilmember Guinness. Okay, Councilmember Mansour, can you unraise your hand now so I don't get confused again? Thank you. Councilmember Guinness.
I would like to clarify, your motion is to receive and file and then post the waivers. It's not just to post the waivers.
Correct.
Okay, because I was thinking we could do both. We could post the waivers and then we could do Councilmember Mansour's, but they're mutually exclusive. Is that correct?
That's not
Mayor Foley's motion and Councilmember.
That's not my motion.
Yeah, but your motion would not allow, once we made the motion, we couldn't go back to Alan's motion.
That's right.
Okay.
Okay, Councilmember
You could
Marr.
make another motion, Councilmember Guinness, if you wanted to.
Councilor, please. Councilmember Marr.
I think we're out of them.
Councilmember Marr.
Yeah, I'll be supporting the second substitute motion. I think offering to cut other people's pay while you have 2 months left in office is sort of the definition of performative leadership. So anyone can look up exactly what it is that I cut. I think showing your own initiative and cutting what you think is right is the best way to do this. I'm not going to tie other people's hands. Thanks.
Okay, call for the question by voice vote. Ms.
Thank
Green.
you, Madam Mayor. And can you please clarify who seconded your motion?
I did.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Reynolds?
Yes.
Councilmember Mar?
Yes.
Councilmember Mansour?
For the record, Councilmember Mar, I wanted this agendized weeks ago before anybody knew who was going to run. So that would have made a difference in my pay too had I decided to run. But I'm a no on this motion.
Councilmember Gannis?
I am reluctantly yes. I would have preferred Councilmember Mansour's motion, but I could see that's not going anywhere. And I would like to point out, though, that even if we voted to cut the salary, apparently from what Ms. Barlow said, another council could just raise it up again anyway?
Not till after the next election.
No.
Well, I'll support.
Councilmember Chavez?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Stevens?
Yes.
Mayor Foley?
Yes.
Motion carries 6-1. Councilmember Mansour voting no.
Okay, we will move to item number 4. Do we need to take a quick bathroom break? Let's take a bathroom break before we go to item number 4. Okay, thank you. Come back at, it's right now 8:27. So let's come back at 8:40. Is that what? Is that good? 8:45. Okay, 8:45. Thank you.
Okay, Madam Mayor.
Okay, thank you. I know we only have one item left, but I've been sitting here from 4 o'clock until 8:30, and so had to use the restroom. Okay, we will move on to item number 4.
Resolution supporting measure authorizing city to allow cannabis delivery and dispensaries in city subject to strict regulation and taxation. Presentation by Ms. Hall Barlow, City Attorney.
Okay, Ms. Barlow.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the council. As the council is aware, on the upcoming ballot, there is a city-sponsored ballot measure to allow the council by ordinance to approve cannabis delivery and cannabis retail with distance restrictions and other mandatory safeguards. And we are simply asking if the council would like to adopt a resolution supporting that ballot measure formally. And that is my report.
Okay, council members, does anyone have any questions? If so, please raise your hand in the participants window. Seeing no one. Oh, I got a hand raised. Councilmember Reynolds.
All right, I'll be quick. I'm going to bounce one question right back to Ms. Barlow. Ms. Barlow, can you clarify the boundary between this action and what we know is a where there needs to be a boundary between sort of advocacy for a measure on a bill? Can you just clarify what is appropriate and what we cannot do?
Yeah, I'd be happy to do that. What you cannot do is to advocate for the passage of a particular measure or candidate. However, you are allowed to do education and other items. One of the exceptions to the rule about advocacy is that you may, as a body, pass a resolution supporting legislation. You regularly do that for federal and state legislation. This happens to be a local measure, but you are also allowed to pass as a body this resolution. That would be the sole ability for this kind of support. Otherwise, anything you do has to be out of your official capacity and without using any public resources.
Thank you.
Seeing no other hands raised, I will open this item up for public comment. If you'd like to speak to this item, please use the raise hand option on your screen. If you are joining the meeting on your phone and would like to speak, please press *9 to raise your hand and then *6 to speak when your number is called. Ms. Green, do we have any speakers?
Yes, Madam Mayor, we have one. It's a phone caller. The last 3 digits are 948. I will allow you to speak, and if you could press *6 to unmute yourself, please.
Good evening. I'm concerned with how broad the area in this resolution encompasses and question why known illegal dispensaries have not been shut down. You created a city council cannabis ad hoc committee that included industry stakeholders, the Cannabis Chamber of Commerce and staff, yet did not include any public at large for their input or suggestions. Yes, in 2016, voters approved Measure X. However, it was confined to the green zone north of South Coast Drive and west of Harbor Boulevard. Measure Q suddenly allows dispensaries anywhere in a commercial zone, other than within 1,000 feet of daycare, K through 12, playgrounds, or homeless shelters. How about within 1,000 feet of residential or even sober living homes? That just doesn't seem right. Why couldn't Measure Q roll out in the green zone area where cannabis businesses are already allowed to operate? And if this proves positive and beneficial, the approved area could always be expanded at a later time, but would be extremely difficult to later reduce the approved area. Many have repeatedly contacted code enforcement regarding illegal dispensaries that impact us on a daily basis. Code enforcement takes the report, basically says their hands are tied for whatever reason, and then suggests we contact the Bureau of Cannabis Control in Sacramento. Can the city itself not shut them down? We have contacted the BCC for over a year and still nothing happens. One particular known illegal dispensary is next door to residential, has zero parking, so their customers constantly block driveways, double park, and they pretty much operate 24/7. I personally witnessed their customers racing down the street and yelling obscenities late at night on many, many occasions. These illegal dispensaries have no building permits, no seller's permit, no business license, pay no sales tax, and are terrible neighbors. Any other business would be shut down immediately. Why the double standard? Our business required zoning approval, a business license, building permits, parking. We were on the hook for a very large traffic impact fee, yet the illegal dispensary across the street can take our parking and block our driveways. It can take years to jump through all the hoops to get a business open in this city, yet these illegal dispensaries pop up with no license or permits and absolutely nothing is done. What exactly does it take to get an illegal dispensary shut down in Costa Mesa? And if this resolution is approved, what assurances do we have that the city will finally shut down the illegal dispensaries? I ask that you reconsider allowing dispensaries in all commercial zones and that the city starts shutting down the illegal operators immediately. Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker will be Costa Mesa Opportunity Zone.
Thank you for taking my comment. Opportunity zones under federal regulation allow for cannabis. They block other industries like the sin industries, golf courses, retail liquor stores, but cannabis is not blocked. Costa Mesa has a top 10% opportunity zone, and we are close by Hoag Hospital and City of Hope Hospital that bring in cancer patients from all over the world. Whitaker Institute closed over a year ago. They were awarded the World Health Organization recognition for their alternative medicine treatment. We don't have that any longer. And I can tell you that there's a difference between the recreational marijuana market and the CBD pharmaceutical market. CBD has been in the pharmaceutical chain in Israel for over 30 years. We have people that come in from all over the world for Hoag and City of Hope for cancer treatment. And you're missing the opportunity to make spas, health and wellness centers. You're looking at just the retail market and you're missing the CBD market that is viable. It's FDA regulated. It's the governor just signed an agreement with the Hemp Roundtable about CBD. And I think this initiative is too narrow. I think you should, wherever there's a mixed use overlay that allows for hotel, retail, restaurant, I think you should be expanding this to open it up to any type of zoning use for any type of medical, hemp, or marijuana delivery, whatever. It just seems short-sighted. Thank you for taking my comments.
Madam Mayor, we have no further speakers.
Okay, thank you. We'll close public comment. Council, is there a motion? Please raise your hand. Councilor Mansour.
Yes, I'll make a motion to receive and file, and I have some comments about it.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay,
So
Mansour.
to respond to the first speaker, she said something to the effect of, do you have any assurances that the illegal dispensaries are going to go away once the legal ones come into place? And the answer to that is no. There are no assurances. That's what my concern is. And this first speaker made a very good point of opening up maybe north of the 405 freeway instead of citywide. But my concern is lack of transparency on this as well. You know, I asked weeks ago, maybe even a couple months ago, or whenever we had the survey done, the poll that was taken about marijuana in our city, and I asked for the results to be put on our website. And I tell you, if it was the mayor or the council majority, that would have been up the next day, but it just took forever. It just now today got put up, and I'm grateful for that. But why isn't that information being shared with people right off the bat? We had a PowerPoint presentation. It just should be out there for people to see. So I don't think people are getting complete information, and certainly not in a timely manner. So that alone raises a lot of questions and why I cannot support this tonight. But maybe north of the 405, maybe in a smaller area to test it out, but not on such a wide scale like this, especially when there are no guarantees that the illegal dispensaries are going to be closed. Thank you.
Substitute motion to approve the item.
Wait, I didn't get to address it.
Oh, well,
Sorry.
second to John, then Tanya go.
My apologies. I was on mute. Councilmember Guinness, and then I will go to Mayor Pro Tem Stevens, and then I think Councilmember Chavez had his hands up.
Okay, I have a different reason for not wanting to adopt the resolution. I see this resolution as very different when we take a position on legislation that's pending in Washington or that's pending in Sacramento. In that case, we are addressing people that we and the people of Costa Mesa helped elect. And we, as a body, are sending a resolution on behalf of the people of Costa Mesa to either the California State Legislature or the California Assembly, well, Assembly, Legislature, same thing, or the House of Representatives or the Senate or whatever. We are doing that on behalf of the people of Costa Mesa. In this case, what? On behalf of the people of Costa Mesa, we're telling the people of Costa Mesa how to vote. To me, that's like totally anti-democracy. And I think anybody as an individual, I have signed ballot arguments up the yin-yang. And I encourage people to get out and campaign individually and speak out individually, but to use the imprimatur of government to try to tell the electorate how they should cast their ballot, I just find that anathema, so that I won't be supporting any such resolution. Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem Stevens.
Substitute motion to approve the item.
Okay. Is there a second?
I second, Mayor.
Okay. And Mayor Pro Tem Stevens, would you like to speak to the item?
Well, I of course believe in the measure that we have passed on a 6-1 vote to go to the public. And I think it's implicit that because we voted to put the item on the ballot that we support the item. And I think that this resolution just simply makes explicit what is implicit. And I don't think it creates any, violates any principles in that regard. And it's our city attorney is saying it's within our, it's within the law to do so. So I think it's an appropriate thing to do.
Okay, Mayor, Councilmember Chavez.
I second what Mayor Pro Tem Stevens said.
Okay. I don't see any other hands in the queue. I'll be supporting the motion for similar reasons. I think it's transparency. It's all about transparency. Call for the question by voice vote.
Councilmember Chavez.
Yes.
Councilmember Guinness.
No, and this absolutely has nothing to do with transparency. That's baloney.
Councilmember Mansour.
This lacks transparency. Only today were the results of the poll put on the website. It should have been up weeks ago. This is anything but transparent. This is being railroaded through. Hey, if the voters want this, that's up to the voters, but I'm not going to try to influence their vote. I'm a no.
Councilmember Marr. Councilmember Reynolds.
Yes. And I just want to add a note just to make clear to those listening that this is a motion to support something that's going on the ballot for the vote of the people. So we're railroading something onto a ballot to get voted on by the people. I support that.
Mayor Pro Tem Stevens.
Yeah, I vote yes in the interest of transparency.
Mayor Foley.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-2 with council members Guinness and Mansour voting no.
All right. That is our last item of business tonight. This is the time of the meeting. If there was any other comments that council members would like to make, does anyone have any further comments to make? Please ask, or please raise your hand in the participants window so that you can be called upon. Okay, seeing no one. Oh, I'm sorry. Councilmember Mar.
Sorry, I couldn't get over the window fast enough. Yes, so Trellis is going to be doing Love Costa Mesa Day, a socially distanced version of Love Costa Mesa Day on October 3rd. And so if you have projects that you want for yourself, for your neighborhood, for your neighbor who needs a fence painted next door or some large item trash taken out, we're going to be doing all kinds of service projects across the city. If you're interested in sponsoring, we're looking for sponsors too, to buy materials and sort of support all of the different projects throughout the day. You can contact me or you can contact Trellis directly, but looking for projects and sponsors right now for October 3rd. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Reynolds, you don't have your hand raised, but you're unmuted. No, okay. I just wanted to take a moment to thank actually Councilmember Mar for all of the effort that you've made during the pandemic with regard to the food distribution drives and just continuing to give and serve. And I want to thank Councilmember Reynolds also. I got to participate in the virtual bike safety and looking at ways to make the streets safer and more accessible to pedestrians and bicyclists that she organized with a variety of groups from across California, frankly. So really appreciate you bringing those insights into our community, bringing in additional voices and great ideas. So thank you for that. Okay, everybody have a great night, stay healthy, and we will see you back here on September 15th. Good night, everyone.
Hey, wait. Adjourn for Floyd Waldron.
Sorry. I had already made those comments, so thank you for reminding me. We will adjourn the meeting tonight in honor of our former police officer, Floyd Waldron, and Chief Stefano's father, Vince Stefano, and also Captain Brockmiller. Good night, everybody.
Good night.